Every day we consume an overwhelming amount of information. Sure, the modern world offers endless opportunities, but the way our mind works often tricks us. We end up making snap decisions, falling for biases, going along with the crowd, and blindly trusting popular beliefs. How many people do you personally know who would believe something just because they saw it online once? In today's world, it's not about how much you know. It's about your ability to separate fact from fiction. And that's where critical thinking becomes essential. It's a core skill for anyone aiming for success. In this video, I'll explain why it's so important to think critically, share methods that can help you practice it, and show you how to sharpen this skill, win the information race, and avoid being misled. I'll also give you a powerful real-life example from the movie The Big Short. Let's talk about the 2008 financial crash. Back then, everyone saw mortgages as the ultimate safe investment. Real estate prices always went up, right? No one imagined that the entire system could collapse. But one man, Michael Burry, dared to question what everyone else believed. He personally dug through countless mortgage loans to see what was really going on. While the market insisted real estate was solid, low risk, and profitable, Burry took a closer look. He asked for a list of the top 20 mortgage-backed securities. And what he found was shocking. A huge chunk of those loans wasn't being repaid. After connecting the dots, he realized that by 2008, the whole housing market would crash. While everyone else stayed in denial, Burry bet big against these mortgage bonds, a move that eventually earned him a fortune. Meanwhile, millions of people lost everything because they blindly trusted the system. Even massive banks handling billions went bankrupt. And that's what sparked the 2008 crisis. The term critical thinking was coined by American philosopher John Dewey. He described it as active, persistent, and careful consideration applied to any kind of information, reflective and independent. In simple terms, a critical thinker, like Michael Burry, relies on solid facts, double-checks every idea, does personal research, and builds logical connections rather than following others' opinions. Many people confuse critical thinking with analytical thinking, but they're not the same. Analysis breaks information down into smaller parts to understand it better. Critical thinking is about questioning, spotting flaws, and uncovering manipulation or lies. For example, if you read an article as an analyst, you'd break it down section by section, figure out the main points, and ask yourself, what's the takeaway? But if you read it critically, you'd first ask, who wrote this? Where does the opinion end and the facts begin? What's the source, and is it trustworthy? A true critical thinker is a skeptic. They challenge common beliefs, question even their own views, and check if their thinking is rational, fair, and unbiased. Analysts organize information to make it clearer, but critics dig for the truth. So, why is critical thinking so important? As Nobel Prize winner Albert Einstein once said, our brains are wired to make mistakes. The brain is designed to save energy. It looks for shortcuts instead of thinking deeply all the time. That's why most of our decisions happen quickly and on autopilot, like locking the door before leaving the house because it's just a habit. If we carefully analyzed every move, we'd have no time or mental energy left for what truly matters. The real danger is, the brain tends to use those shortcuts even when deep thinking is necessary. Einstein described this idea with the concept of two thinking systems that shape how we decide things. System 1, our brain's default mode, acts instantly and automatically, helping us make snap judgments without effort. System 2, on the other hand, is responsible for deep thinking, problem-solving, self-control, analyzing information, and planning. It protects us from common mistakes. But there's a catch. To activate this system, you need to consciously focus your attention. Yes, it sounds challenging, but let me walk you through a classic experiment from the book Thinking Fast and Slow, though you might be surprised who actually wrote it. Stay tuned. This test creates a conflict between the two systems of thinking. Here's how it works. Look at two columns of words. In the first round, your task is simple. Say out loud whether each word is printed in large or small font. Easy, right? Now, in the second round, instead of noticing the size, say whether each word appears on the left or right side of the column. Chances are, reading the font size felt easier in the first task, especially for the left column. But once you switched focus to the position of words, you likely slowed down or even stumbled a bit. That's your System 2 kicking in. It needs conscious effort to override the brain's autopilot. System 2 usually turns on when we force it through willpower, or when we mess up and realize it. For instance, say you forget to lock your door twice in 1 week. The next time, you'll probably double-check by pulling the handle a few times. That's System 2, making sure you don't repeat the mistake. And this is where critical thinking comes in. It helps you activate System 2 before mistakes happen. It teaches you to pause, question, and analyze instead of reacting automatically. The truth is, we fall for traps like this every single day, watching the news, hearing gossip from friends, or even now, while watching this video. In fact, right here, I tricked you. Earlier, I mentioned Einstein as the author of Thinking Fast and Slow. But did you catch it? That was a lie. I made it up. The real author is Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize-winning cognitive psychologist. If you just nodded along and believed me because the video looked good and sounded convincing, it's a sign your critical thinking needs work. But if something felt off, if you paused and thought, wait, was that really Einstein? Congratulations. You're not easy to fool. That's what critical thinking looks like. Don't worry if you didn't notice. This was a harmless example, but in real life, the lies, misinformation, and manipulation you face can cost you much more. That's why developing your critical thinking is crucial. It protects you from being deceived. And now, I'll share a step-by-step guide to help you strengthen this skill. A skill that can truly change your life. But here's the honest truth. You won't become a critical thinker overnight. It takes time and practice. Still, I'll give you 2 powerful methods that will give your progress a serious boost. Without them, everything else you hear in this video will just be another piece of information you forget after it's over. Method 1, the Fishbone diagram, also known as Ishikawa method. The name speaks for itself. Imagine drawing a fish. The head represents the main issue you're trying to solve, and you can even write it as a question. For example, why is my productivity low? Why do I constantly run out of time for important tasks? That's your topic, lack of time. Now, write down the facts you know on the bottom bones of the fish. I leave tasks unfinished because I run out of time. I feel tired and unmotivated. I procrastinate instead of starting work. My breaks turn into endless scrolling or gaming. I stay up until 3 a.m. Next, think about what causes each of these facts, and write those on the upper bones. Poor time management, lack of clear priorities and planning, constant distractions, TikTok, games, notifications. I rest without finishing tasks, which ruins the break itself. Unfinished tasks haunt me, keeping me up late. Finally, ask yourself, when was I productive in the past? Maybe you worked better when you got enough sleep, or when you chose learning over gaming. Suddenly, the bigger picture becomes clear, and solutions start to emerge. The tail of the fish is your conclusion, your insight, assessment, or decision. Of course, real-life problems might not be solved as easily as the example I gave. But spending time analyzing facts and reasons increases your chances of finding a practical solution. Method 2, the 5 whys technique. This method was developed by Sakichi Toyoda, the father of the Toyota founder. The concept became a game changer for the company, allowing them to dig deep, identify the root cause of problems, and fix it. This saved millions of dollars and transformed Toyota from a low-quality car manufacturer into a world leader known for both affordability and reliability. The idea is simple. When something goes wrong, don't stop at the first reason you find. Instead, ask yourself why 5 times to get to the real root cause. Mistakes shouldn't be seen as a reason for self-destruction. They are valuable clues for figuring out how to act smarter, better, and more effectively next time. Approach every mistake constructively. Identify it, analyze the reasons behind it, and brainstorm ways it could have been avoided. Remember, without admitting and analyzing errors, even science wouldn't have moved forward. We'd still believe the sun revolves around the earth. Step 2. Look for flaws in your own thinking. The real mark of a critical thinker is not just questioning others, but being able to challenge your own assumptions. Professionals constantly test their hypotheses by looking for contradictions, not confirmations. They Google arguments against their own opinions, not just search for what proves them right. You might end up finding out you were correct, which is great, but if you discover you were wrong, that's even better because it means you've grown, learned, and won't repeat the same mistake again. Step 3. Pause before making important decisions. Rushed decisions often lead to mistakes because they're driven by System 1, the automatic emotional part of our brain I mentioned earlier. Critical, slow thinking, powered by System 2, is far less prone to cognitive biases. Train yourself to pause and activate this system before making major choices. Avoid answering on autopilot. Instead, give yourself time to think. Step 4. Build your knowledge base and actively work with information. Simply listening, reading, or writing things down isn't enough to truly understand or remember something new. That's for those teachers' pets memorizing facts for attention, not for people who want to actually understand the world. You need to work with information actively, research thoroughly, use multiple sources, check facts, and even argue with yourself. Don't just memorize, connect the dots until the knowledge forms a clear, coherent picture in your head. You can't think critically if you don't know enough about the world. The more you learn, the easier it becomes to compare, analyze, and draw conclusions. Look at the problem from all angles and understand its place in a broader context. Many self-proclaimed experts say, to develop critical thinking, you must only read books. Movies and other media are a waste of time. But they miss the point. Information is information. If someone can't process the message of a film, where everything is served up and explained, reading a book won't magically make them smarter. That said, yes, reading does engage more areas of the brain. You visualize characters, hear their voices in your mind, imagine the settings. You build entire worlds. This mental workout makes reading one of the best tools for developing critical thinking. Step 5. Expand your social circle. Naturally, we surround ourselves with people who share our views. It's comforting. Talking to like-minded people feels good because it constantly reassures us that we're right. But this creates a dangerous bubble. We risk seeing the world through a narrow lens and making poor, biased decisions. The solution? Regularly talk to people who disagree with you. Listen carefully. Try to understand why they think differently. You don't have to agree, but opening your mind to other perspectives is crucial for critical thinking. As Henry Ford once said, thinking is the hardest work there is, which is probably the reason why so few engage in it. Final thoughts: critical thinking isn't just a skill. It's a combination of habits, tools, and attitudes. Mastering it unlocks a new level of personal growth and self-awareness. Keep practicing, and see you next time.